Hi, this is Mr. Gagnon again, and because there's not enough board space in the classroom that we're working in, I wanted to get to you an important point about energy. When I think about energy, I think about like how much energy I feel like I have. Like if I'm not feeling really energetic, I might be tired. Um, I might want to go to sleep. Yes, that does relate to the energy that we're talking to, but um, but let's look at it in a little bit different way. I'd like to kind of make you and get you to think a little bit about where your energy actually comes from. So, um, there's a source that we all know of, and it's something that's been around for a long, long time. In fact, about 4.5 billion years. This source is the sun. In fact, the sun looked pretty much the same for the last 100 million years. So any creature or anything that was on planet Earth at that time looked up and saw the sun just as we see it today. So if we draw a picture, and I'd like you to actually in your notes draw a picture of uh, the the energy chain that I'm going to draw. And you might have seen this in seventh grade, but we're going to elaborate on it here in this class. Okay, so I'm going to draw a picture of the sun. Okay, and this is going to be an elaborate picture, which leads to the next thing. So we'll say that 100 million years ago, the sun gave energy. We'll say the little e is energy to let's say a plant, okay, a little flower or something like that. Now the plant now has the energy from the sun that it collected through something we call photosynthesis, and eventually the energy from the plant goes into some small creature that decides to eat it. So we'll put this into a small. Again, my drawings are not wonderful, but a little small creature, like a rabbit or something like that, or some rendition of that, millions of years ago. So now this energy has transferred from the sun to the plant, and then the energy is now transferred to the animal. And the interesting thing about this is that when you think of the energy that you have as a person, you can actually relate it back to the sun as well. So let's go a little forward with this. Now, let's say some bigger creature comes along, like our friend, the T-Rex. All right, comes along, and T-Rex decides to eat this animal, and then its energy will eventually travel somewhere else. So let's say this is the top of the food chain. I'm going to continue it over here. The T-Rex eventually the T-Rex dies and is buried by lots and lots of sand, dirt, rocks, and here he is, or here she is, under the ground. And this is a matter of years that's passed by. But the thing is that the energy is still in whatever was left of this animal. Now, this also happens to plants as well. Plants die, and it's covered by years and years of deposits and such. So here we go. Here's the mass, and this is actually really, really, really sticky stuff. Okay, the energy now. Okay, here's our dinosaur matter. Okay, here he is again. Somebody comes along and drills a hole into the ground, and what seemed like magic back in the day was that this stuff came out of the pipe that they drilled. All right, this stuff was sticky, nasty, gross. It looked like black snot. But this stuff here burned like you wouldn't believe. So it burned really, really nicely. So now this energy is transferred from all the way from the sun to the plant to the animal to the dinosaur to the dead dinosaur to the what we call crude oil. Okay, crude oil. Okay, and now we take this crude oil as humans, okay, and we refine it a little bit. Okay, we take it, we refine it a little bit, and I don't know if you've been on the 195 split in Providence. You get that nice smell over there on 95 near Thurber's Avenue. You see these tanks. These are really big tanks. These tanks are actually holding this oil, and what they do is they heat it up, and it's formed into layers. Okay, and in the layers, there are different types of petroleum. You know, you've got your crude oils on the bottom, and then it begins to separate a little bit, and you have from this crude oil, the energy is going into gasoline, diesel, fuel, believe it or not, plastic. Okay, heating oil. Okay, and now this branches off. This cars, this trucks, plastics is industry, heating oil is homes, and we actually use this petroleum heating oil to also create electricity, which to me is a pretty cool thing. I will say that. It's pretty cool that I can actually know that every time I turn the light on, that electricity is actually, if I trace it back, it's energy from the sun a long time ago. And that's what the heat is used for. It burns, and it's called number 2 oil. And that number 2 oil is put into the electric grid, and that's what you buy for electricity every time you turn on anything electronic. All right, so I'll leave it off at that point, and we'll get into the next one, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how electricity is produced from the crude oil.